best shot here. Obviously, Worlds has not gone the way they wanted it to thus far, but you can always try to turn things around, and you got to start right now. As JoJo and Poby, it's just a quick trade of a Noxious Blast for nothing there, so Poby gets first strike in mid lane.
Yeah, I think the issues that we've seen from both these teams in the LEC have only been exemplified on the main stage, where MKOI have got off to great starts, but they haven't been able to close it out. Whereas for Fnatic, it's just kind of been that team cohesion and finding the success that they really want. So I think both teams with a lot to prove, but we'll have to see who's going to be able to take it in the end.
Okay, runes on your screen right now. The thing that I always look at least throughout the past split in professional League of Legends, is the presence of the spellbook for the supports. Both of them having it this time around. Rakan versus Alistar, neither one of these two are really playing to slam the lane, so spellbook makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and it just gives you options to so many options in the later portion of the games, with teleport and being able to get it back out onto the map quicker, exhaust for someone like a Kiana that's trying to get access to your backline. It's just works so incredibly well.
And for those of us who might not be as familiar with the LEC throughout the year, Dagda, we've got the information on the screen right now for kind of how this head-to-head has gone.
Yeah, I mean, the main ones to look at are those last two, right? Like, you can see in our summer playoffs, end up facing off twice. It went to 5 games the first time around. It really looked like it was coming down to the wire. But the second time we saw them face off, honestly, it was MKOI dominating for a large portion of that. And that came down to a solid game plan of, we want to access the bot lane, we want to snowball Supa and make sure we can shut down Upset and Mickey. This time around though, having the Kiana will make that game plan more difficult to operate on. You don't have that same kind of ease of setup on the level 3s, the level 4s to look for the dives, so this may make Pantheon a little bit easier to work with.
So checking out where our junglers are here at the very beginning, it is going to be cross-map starts for them, both of them starting on their own respective red quadrants. You're going to see Elyoya take a quick back after that first 3-camp clear just to pick up the additional longsword for the extra clearing power, as JoJo and Poby trade back and forth here in the mid lane. JoJo with the aggressive flash, though, forcing out the response flash from Poby. Only a slow on the Rune Prison, not a stun. So both of them very low on health, very low on mana. No flashes available for 2 immobile mid laners, Dagda. I'm feeling like this is a big flashing red light for either one of the junglers, and it's Razork swooping around this side first. We'll see if he can make this happen against JoJo, waiting for the minions to at least push up as far as they can so they don't see him early. JoJo without that flash from Razork into the point, and click stun. It's done. First blood, Fnatic.
Great response from Razork, being able to move in towards that mid lane, but Supa and Alvaro even hovering up, but not going to be able to find any success. And it's a little unfortunate from JoJo. I love the idea. He was about to hit level 3, could get the root and look for the kill, but just barely mistimed that tick over to level 3. So it was a slow rather than the stun when he hit those buttons, and it means that you actually end up with Poby escaping.
Yeah, that was tough, man. I feel like if you're going to play those aggressive early flashes, you've got to respect the possible presence of the jungler. JoJo doesn't do so, and it means that Razork gets paid early on this Pantheon, a champion that can really run away with the game if he starts to get accelerated, especially if he hits an early level 6. You catch somebody off guard with an early ultimate, but now it's MKOI invading the jungle. Razork trying to clear his blue buff here, as now it's a flash engage. Razork, remember, he already used his flash to make the play earlier, but now JoJo gets his revenge. MKOI, nice, seizing the opportunity there. Again, recognizing a flash down and pouncing.
And JoJo being able to get back into that mid with the wave pushing and bot lane pushing set them up perfectly. And I was about to say, if Elyoya got a couple of those kills, a Kiana just as strong as a Pantheon if she can get rolling, but it's making sure that JoJo set up comfortably in the mid lane is the focus here for MKOI.
Especially after the early death, right? You don't want your Ryze to get set behind. You want to make sure he's able to keep stacking. Elyoya not grabbing the kill on that one, but still 34 to 20 in terms of the farm count, so not feeling too bad about that. Of course, the gold still mostly even between the junglers because Razork was the beneficiary of the first blood, but that was Elyoya's flash being used for that one. Kiana, of course, a very highly mobile champion, very slippery champion with all the stealth, so not going to feel the missing the flash as much as some other champions might.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the fact that she's just been able to power farm her way through has worked out great, right? Because we had the play in the mid lane while you had the full clear coming through from the Kiana. She got a crab, then she started to make her way in for the kill, pick up some of that CS in Razork's jungle, now going for the reset. So honestly, Elyoya is in a fantastic spot as he bets to take over to level 6 as well, being able to pick up some of that early DPS.
Ooh, nice engage there from Mickey. Headbutt pull followed up by the immediate feather root there from Upset with a Blade Caller. So Imkoi's bottom lane duo does take a chunk of HP, but they return some good firepower themselves. They've got the wave pushing into their opponents, but Mickey and Upset able to freeze it outside of tower range right now. That first Drake of the game has spawned as of about 30 seconds ago. Nobody putting any super early attention on that one just yet. I feel like when we have all these flashes down early, when we have these attempts on mid laners and junglers early, the Dragons are naturally going to be a bit more delayed, but Razork now looking at the bottom lane.
Looking to see if they can get the setup, but Mickey not able to get the pulverize on the play. It was a nice call, especially as this wave is frozen, but it doesn't really matter, right? You don't get the kill, you don't get the play, but Upset still has the wave in a perfect spot for him.
Yeah, that wave frozen exactly where they want it, and Supa's walking right towards the pixel brush. Razork jumps in for the stun, but buffering through the wall there with a wall slide from Supa means the Zeri gets away very easily. Ward dropped in the Dragon Pit there from Fnatic, just to keep an eye on it, just to make sure they're not going to try to sneak that one away after seeing Razork show up down here, but instead it's the mid lane. That's your target, beautifully done from Elyoya and Alvaro to set it up for JoJo to knock it down. Kill number 2 for the Rise, as Mickey X wanted to try to get something back here with his Alistar, but he just doesn't have the chance to do it.
And that's that unsealed spellbook that you were talking about, Flowers. TP taken from Alvaro, so in the mid, Poby thought he was safe, but Alvaro comes in on the teleport play, sets up them with his jungle, and manages to get a perfect play in that mid lane.
And here's the thing, Dagda. Yep, they put the ward in the Dragon Pit. Yep, they know that Imkoi's taking it. Nope, they have nothing to say about it because their mid laner is dead. He's just making his way back out onto the map right now, and JoJo and Elyoya have plenty of damage to be able to secure this first objective. So that one's done, and nicely on top of that, if you note in the top left, it's still 50 seconds until the Void Grubs spawn, so it's not like you're losing priority over that side of the map to secure the Drake.
And it's actually Fnatic who are scrambling to try and keep some semblance of control in that regard. They move Poby to bot lane because you can't actually get the Imbess out of top to catch that bottom wave. So it's Poby who has to move down there. Now you've got Upset is in the mid lane, and it means that if we end up going for this rotation, which I assume is going to happen for Mkoi with the Zeri moving up towards those Void Grubs, you're just in a great spot as Mkoi where you can push in top and have first access in towards those Void Grubs.
All right, Upset with level 6. Means we do have the ability to drop some of that aggro there with the ulti if they try to engage on him, so that's going to be a consideration here for Imkoi. Mickey's Alistar only just ticking level 5. Means that if we do get a grub fight, there's going to be no chance for the Alistar to be able to use the Unbreakable Will, really start the fight off with impunity. Alvaro also pretty far away from being able to have the grand entrance for this one here as well, as the Scuttle Crab is the target for Elyoya, wanting to secure that for the extra vision and control over the top side river. Alvaro and Razork both just kind of going to whiff there, so not a whole lot to be traded back and forth, but I'm seeing a lot of bodies show up to this potential grub fight, my friend.
Yeah, Fnatic really want to try and break this, but Mkoi in a good spot will push mid and top, and they're going to start up the objective. At least get one. Looks like they don't want to contest for more.
First grub already secured there with the smite, and now they're going to go in. Supreme display of talent onto Mickey. He's already down. Feet of Warfare claimed by Mkoi. Razork wants to get away, but here comes the Realm Warp to seal his fate. He'll warp straight into the grave. It's a double kill for the Zeri, for Supa. It's a 4-1 game with a 2,000 gold lead, and every single grub is going to go the way of Mkoi. This early game, they are slamming it.
And the fact that Fnatic couldn't match those lane assignments from Mkoi came back to bite them. Mkoi get pushed mid, JoJo's able to isolate Upset from being able to join in the fight, and in a 3v4, Mkoi take down Fnatic.
This is a rough game state here for Fnatic now. Hex flash over the wall though from Mickey. Here comes your Grand Starfall from Razork. Supa's gonna die for sure. Shut down for Razork means Fnatic at least gets something back there to staunch the bleeding.
Yeah, still, the kill going to Razork isn't ideal. They would have liked to have given that to Oscarinen to try and have something, but Mickey gone too far forward.
Yeah, Mickey very far forward into enemy territory. The Alistar's got to be careful here. Elyoya does a lot of damage on this Kiana. Oscarinen returning a little bit of fire, just trying to create an escape route here for his support. But now Oscarinen locked down. JoJo cannot arrive in time, however. No flash available on that Rise to try to get in there for the extra damage. Mickey down to 50 HP. Brother, you have got to get out of here.
Yeah, I think if you want to stick around, it's not going to be a good time for Mickey's. May not be for Oscarinen as well. Again, the overextension for Mickey causing so many members of Fnatic to try and join, and now JoJo control over the wave, denying Oscarinen in the back. Like, Mkoi are dominating this early game.
This is about as much as I think you could ask for. You've already claimed Feat of Warfare. You're up 1,500 gold. One more objective. They're also going to secure the feats in their entirety because they secured first Drake plus those Void Grubs. It's still about 2 minutes out until we get the next Drake spawning on the map, however, as Jojo crashes this practically double-stacked wave into the turret here, into the tier 1. Wants to get this first plate. Does a lot of damage to Oscar, but now got to be a little bit careful. Here's public execution. Jojo taking a ton of damage from the initial Ambessa burst. Teleport coming in to try to save Jojo, but he cannot stay alive long enough. Nice pickup there from Fnatic.
And a much needed pickup for Fnatic. The fact that they'd already started to lose out across the board and now Oscar Running gets something back opens up that opportunity for him to be a threat on side lanes and a big threat in those team fights. Nicely done by Fnatic as MKoi might be looking to answer back here as they move in towards the jungle.
Okay, Mickey now with the level 6 on the Alistar has Unbreakable Will. Far harder to catch him out and burst him down like we saw in the fight by the Grubs. Razork jumping in after Alvaro. Mickey wants to go over the wall to follow it up, but a nice escape there from MKoi to not get caught.
Alvaro has been so slippy when it comes to Mickey's engages. Time and again he's been able to step away from them and it just leaves Fnatic wanting. Poby though has been able to sit in the side lane at least for a little while and get some of this farm and get into a position where he's relatively comfortable, but it's a long way from Fnatic scaling into this game.
Speaking of scaling, just checking in on where we are with itemization here because we are seeing first items come online in a few different roles. You've got the Eclipse for Ambessa, makes her trading patterns that much more brutal in the lane. Sundered Sky and Profane Hydra available for the 2 junglers, and Rod of Ages for Jojo stacking up. Both mid laners stacking their tiers about 2/3 of the way done already, but the big difference is that Jojo has that Rod online earlier. It means he's going to hit 10 stacks earlier. It means that that's going to be another point of power that MKoi could potentially play around later on in the game.
Yeah, and it's where they have been putting their focus, right, is having, hey, Jojo in a side lane, we're going to try and play off of his pressure into potential invades, into putting down wards, and now it's opening up that opportunity to keep pressure on both mid and bot, start up Dragon, and I mean, for Fnatic, they need someone to try and face check it, but I don't know who does.
All right, top side, neither one of these top laners has their teleport available to join the bot side fight, so it is just going to be a 4v4, unless you can try to get Sion out of the lane and use the ulti, but no, the Dragon is already secured, and considering Elyoya and Alvaro both have the ability to just exit safely through the back of the pit. However, Supa dropping the lightning crash there versus Upset. Does not want to take any more of the fight, though, considering Mickey was nearby, would be able to turn that into an unfair fight very quickly.
Yeah, this is great start though from MKoi. 2 dragons to their name, already with a gold lead, and there just doesn't really seem to be a way for Fnatic to break this. You now are so far behind, it just makes it difficult, and in the goal difference you can see at the bottom of your screen, whoever got the gold lead fairly much won at the game. Razor, can you try and change that?
Yeah, he wants to try to alleviate some of that gold lead, but the Grand Starfall just ends up resulting in a whole lot of nothing. So Pantheon ulti ending up being a whiff. That feels so painful. The cooldown on that ultimate is pretty long. You really want to get value whenever you're making those plays, because not only are you not getting the value you hoped for, now your opponents have 2 minutes to just sit there and say, okay, we don't have to worry about Pantheon ult. We can make the map moves we want to make.
It does feel a bit bizarre to be trying to play around Poby though in this sort of regard, because one of the things I love about Pantheon and Ambessa is that setup, but Mickey wants to be that setup.
Yeah, Mickey trying to set it up for the Cassiopeia, gets trapped in the Rune Prison here as Jojo wants to buy a little time with the phase rush. Elyoya's coming around from the side. Jojo wanted to use the Realm Warp to get away, but he's trapped in the Petrifying Gaze. Redemption coming down, but Jojo is already dead. Elyoya cannot arrive in time. Nicely done from Fnatic to get another pick onto Jojo. That's 3 of their 4 kills on the enemy mid laner, and the game is tied up, at least in kill regards.
Yeah, and at least it's going to Poby, who can do some damage in team fights. And again, you've got that decent setup where instead of trying to come in with the Grand Starfall, where you've plenty of time to try and run away, especially on a phase rush rise, they actually managed to get the flank and set it up. MKoi trying to respond to the mid lane, but Fnatic starting to move out and should be in the position to defend this.
Yeah, MKoi continuing to try to get some value out of those Void Grubs they secured earlier. And honestly, ever since the Void Grub fight, we haven't really seen a lot out of MKoi. They managed to secure the Dragon, but they haven't made any plays against their opponents specifically. So Fnatic have done a good job being able to fight back a little bit, because remember, right after the Void Grub fight that MKoi just slammed, this gold lead was 2.2, 2.3 thousand gold. So Fnatic have come back into the game almost 1,500.
Yeah, and a lot of that has been them MKoi trying to set up for Elyoya with the vision and potential invades and seeing if maybe they can find Razork in the jungle, and that's kind of where you're seeing that the goal or the CS numbers in the jungle look so swayed, whereas because Poby has kind of been sitting in a side lane, despite the fact he's killed down, still keeping within touching distance of Jojo Pyun on the opposite side, and it's more Supa who is kind of taking the lead for MKOI when it comes to that gold.
And the biggest gold lead individually in the game is Supa on that Zeri, like you're talking about. 700 ahead of Upset. The Rift Herald has spawned, and neither side wants to let the other one have it, but it is Fnatic first to the scene. They've got it down to about half HP already. Oscar in here off to the side. Elyoya looking to distract him as now MKOI wants to move forward. Fnatic all grouped up around the pit. Alvaro going in here with a quickness as immediately Razork going to lose about half HP, but now Alvaro is all trapped up. It's the first kill going over to Fnatic. Razork still low, but he ain't dead yet. Supreme display of talent, going to find multiple targets here, but everybody on Fnatic still hanging on for now. Finally, Razork is going to die. Upset and Poby still staying alive for now as Oscar Renan is down to 200 HP. MKOI are cutting off the escapes, and they are cutting off the hopes of Fnatic. Upset and Mickey trying to get themselves away back through the tribe rush. Elyoya and JoJo on the chase. Mickey with the flash of the wall, but Supa is ready to tumble right after him. Upset, the last man standing. He's going to summon up the Herald to try to get away. Maybe try to take the taxi home. A little bit more damage might just be able to stop him, but no. Upset will use the Herald to be the only man on Fnatic who survived.
But that was supposed to be the only silver lining for them, and it's Upset who has to use it to escape. MKOI played that fight so incredibly well, but Razork finds Elyoya.
Yeah, Elyoya sticking around a little bit too long, perhaps. Dodges the Comet Spear there. Did not want to find himself hit by that one. Could have been a potential execution as he does escape through the invisibility. That is Pantheon ulti down again. And there's what I was talking about. The gold lead now, the largest it's been all game, up to almost 3,500 as the Herald makes a very long walk back down the top lane. And this could be a very long journey back to the fountain, although it might actually be for MKOI as Fnatic is ready to try to punish this invade. Alvaro first to die as Mirwin now locked up by the Blade Caller, and it looks like he's got nowhere to go but a gray screen. Does try to pop the ulti there, is interrupted by Mickey X, and Fnatic continue the chase after the Scion. He's pretty tanky, but surely they're able to catch up to him here. Decimating Smash to try to make a little bit of extra distance, but no, it's Headbutt Pulverize, and with a shutdown going over to Upset, that's exactly what Fnatic was hoping for.
MKOI just tossed that gold lead out the window. The fact that you managed to get all those kills in the jungle, and you're going to get that top tower, plus you're getting set up for the dragon now that's about to spawn. That was halving their gold lead just immediately off a bad play.
Oh, but the lightning crash, it's going to be Mickey X the target now as Razork immediately gives his life over right next to it. Fnatic, they get an amazing punish. They force MKOI into a bad spot after MKOI wanted to get more in their own jungle, but then Fnatic is possessed by the same greed. They invade the MKOI jungle, they get caught out, and the damage is just massive. Now this dragon that you're talking about that could have been some breaks slammed on the soul stacking instead is just one step closer to MKOI securing a very early soul.
Lars, what in the name of God is going on?
This is a bit of a crazy game, my friend. We've got 18 kills in 18 minutes, but every objective sans the Herald has gone to MKOI, and the Herald had to be used as an Uber to go home for the AD carry.
Yeah, you kind of thought it was like, oh yeah, call an ambulance, but not for me when it came to the invade on the bottom side. And then Fnatic were like, no, we'd like an ambulance as well, actually, if you wouldn't mind.
Call two.
Yeah. One for me, one for you, and one for the viewers who are very upset at what has been happening. But across the board, as you say, MKOI is still in a very strong position. They're now getting access to this bottom side and starting to crack open the turrets in their favor. And with JoJo having this lead, he is now in a very strong spot to actually be that threat in the side lane, can realm warp into a lot of the fights and just cause issues for Fnatic on sides. Because sure, Pobies, you can see, can eventually clear out waves, but against the Ryze, if you end up with the Kiana coming over the wall, that 1-2 combo can be so devastating for Poby if he's left alone.
Poby's Cassiopeia, 4 stacks on his Rod of Ages, fully charged Seraph's Embrace. Over on the other side, it is 8 stacks for JoJo's Rise on his Roa, as Elyoya with a supreme display of talent right back into the wall. Razork thought he was fighting for a red buff. He was fighting for his life, and he'll lose that fight. MKOI, they take away the enemy jungler from the map for the next 27 seconds, and now they'll just easily rotate up towards that top lane, take down the remaining tier 1 turret from Fnatic, pick a couple of flower petals along the way. They'll place him on the grave of Razork, and they'll celebrate a 5,500 gold lead.
And a well-deserved one as well. MKOI, there's been obviously hiccups here and there, but this is what MKOI has made their name from the LEC, this strong early game where they can very quickly garner these leads, start to try and play through side lanes, and when you've got this combo of Alvaro and Elyoya that is so potent with the CC into the sheer amount of DPS that this Kiana can provide, it's difficult for Fnatic to even approach their own jungle.
Everything on that scoreboard is a blue side gold advantage in whatever role you want to pick and choose. But it's really jungle and AD carry where the two largest advantages find themselves. Elyoya sidestepping out of the way of the public execution. And with Ambessa not able to join up, that just means Mickey is alone in no man's land, and Mkoy pick up a free kill on the enemy support.
Yeah, and that Adakon looks fairly lonely, but I don't know if it's about to have a bunch of Mkoy friends coming over to say hi in a couple of moments as well, because with the Alistair down, the TP coming in, it's an Mkoy objective.
I feel like Otacon has been the same type of objective for y'all in the LEC that has been for us in the LTA throughout the year, which is if he survives until 21 minutes without somebody trying to attack him, it's pretty surprising.
Which is kind of rude, if you think about it. You know?
He's just not welcome on the Rift, except this time around, because they got the free pick right beforehand, there's just no way for Fnatic to try to challenge, so it ends up being a free objective for the Mkoy side. 31 petals to 13 is a ton of extra adaptive force, about 1,500 gold's worth, as Mickey has to flash over the wall just to escape another death at the hands of the supreme display of talent. But the problem is, Dagda, that's another flash used defensively from the Alistar. That's your main engage. Flash, headbutt, pulverize, and now you don't have it. Jojo just sidestepping around Razork, takes him down to about 1/3 HP. Poby slithers into the area to be able to at least save Razork's life, but this is a 7,000 gold lead, and we are under 2 minutes until the Cloud Soul spawns. This is a very dangerous soul to give a team that has Ryze and Zeri.
Yeah, it's not going to be a fun time, and honestly, it doesn't really feel like it's been a fun time at all for Fnatic. Mkoy have been finding the picks, they've been playing so well, and the last time we saw Elyoya actually bring out the Kiana, he got off to a fantastic early game lead, but they couldn't find ways to enable him in team fights to actually carry that gold lead into a victory. This time around though, he's been playing on the flanks incredibly well, he's been looking great. And for Mkoy, when they have these gold leads in this tournament, it hasn't been going so great, as you can see on your screen. Even domestically, there's been a couple of hiccups, but it feels like with this sort of gold lead, it's nearly insurmountable.
Right. These ones, you know, you're looking at a couple thousand gold lead here that ends up turning into a throw. This time around, though, this is absolutely dire for Fnatic. 7,500 gold lead, 45 seconds on the clock until that Cloud Soul spawns. And you can see the map is so dark for Fnatic. Anything past their own jungle, right? The entire river is a very scary place to try to approach. Yeah, Mickey or Razork could try. Mickey's got Unbreakable Will, Razork has his shield, but then if somebody gets caught, you're pretty much forced into a fight, and those fights are not going to go your way unless you start them off with some kind of a pick, some kind of a big engage. Mickey with the Hex flash over the wall there real quick, as Mkoy does have 4 men in the bot side river. Jojo just kind of potentially playing the bait here in the mid lane, does have his Seraphs and Rod fully charged, fully stacked. Still 2 stacks to go on the Rod of Ages for Poby, and this is what I was talking about earlier, the difference in completing that in time. Razor going for the flash engage there onto Supa, who makes the distance and gets away. Supreme display of talent, not going to get a whole lot, but Alvaro's got the quickness to start the fight off in earnest, as Oscar's already down. Mickey's struck alone in the backside of the enemy lines, as Poby's going to be melted by Elyoya. Razor can't stand any longer either, and Fnatic fall to pieces again. It's only Upset left alive. Try as he might, he can't win the fight. Fnatic are going to find themselves aced before the Dragon Soul, and Mkoy have got this one all sewed up.
Fnatic are just too far behind when it comes to the gold. Even if you're not getting full value from the ultis, Alvaro sets up that engage, sets up the turnaround, and Mkoy sweeping through Fnatic.
Mkoy, they get themselves their clean ace. I could see the desperation. And let's take another look here in our MasterCard priceless moment of the game as Razork starts it off.
And I thought maybe you had a chance here as Fnatic, because the ultimate only hits onto Razork from the Supreme display of talent. You're not really getting full value, but this Alvaro knockup sets up perfectly for Jojo Pyun to follow through. They managed to finish off any sort of threat on towards Supa, and he's happy to follow through then to pick off the remaining members of Fnatic.
I tried to go on the Zeri. I mean, Kiana.
You can see there, just kind of like, there's not a whole lot to react to. Just, you know, you're trying, but when you're 7,500 gold down, when you have to go with the flash Pantheon stun to try to initiate
you just throw
the fight.
Hail Mary.
Yeah, you're just trying to play for the 2% chance because otherwise it's a 1, right? And now
where does
Oscar
Health Bar
is,
go?
Yeah, I don't think this Ambessa is long for this world. That is not Ambessa from Arcane, my friend. That one is, that one's out of here.
Well, to be fair, Arcane didn't go too well for her either, you know?
Okay, all right, you got me there. Sorry for anybody who hasn't watched it yet. I guess that might might be a possibly inferable spoil. But now it's 13,000 gold plus a Dragon Soul plus about 24 petals advantage, so that's about 2,000 gold's worth of adaptive force, and Baron is on the map. So if you're MKOI, it feels like a pretty safe bet. You can just take this Baron, force him to come answer, and then you either get the Baron and run into their base, or you just ace them, and you probably don't even need it at that point.
Yeah, I think if you're Fnatic, you hope that for a brief second, MKOI forget how to play the game for about 5 to 10 seconds, don't hit any of their buttons, and then you have a chance.
That's pretty much what it's going to require, but you can see on your screen right now, it only takes Elyoya and Supa to kill the Baron off. Mirwin and Jojo can just cover these flanks, make sure nobody from Fnatic can approach, and sure enough, Fnatic's not even going to try. Gold lead approaching 15,000 now. Baron in their pockets. It's a 1,500 Red Bull Baron power play because there was no attempt from Fnatic to try to stop it, and I'm pretty sure we're going to see the Nexus explode before that timer runs out.
Yeah, I agree, Flares. I don't really think there's much here on Fnatic's side to try and uphold. 3 items on the Cassiopeia is a decent spot to be, but it's just everything else is so in favor of MKOI. I just don't think you have a chance, but here we go. One more play. Can Fnatic do it?
Well, there's already a ward right where the unsealed teleport was coming in from Mickey. Jojo flashes to the other side, but Mickey's ready to flash after him. Alvaro coming in to cover for his mid laner as Jojo is still alive now. Fnatic continue trying to press the assault, but now Mirwin is charging in from behind. A supreme display of talent right back into the wall. Fnatic tried, Fnatic died. There's no way to stop MKOI now. Oscar Renan's the only one standing. It's a double kill for Elyoya there. An ace to end the game, 24-7 with an 18,000 gold lead. What'll be a 20,000 gold lead, I would have to think, by the end of this one. We'll see if those towers give it to us. It'll be just shy, but it won't matter. 27 minutes into the game, MKOI slam game number 1.
That was sheer and utter dominance from the MKOI side. I mean, Fnatic just didn't look like they showed up at all.
Yeah, it was, I mean, it was a little
this time around.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a little bit of family therapy here in this one, as it's do or die for Fnatic as we head into game number 2 of Fnatic versus MKOI. Summoner Spellbook for the Bard there from Alvaro, but Mickey running the Hail of Blades on the Poppy for the extra combat power in lane instead, so not going to have that same level of utility. Here's a look at the runes that Jojo is running on his Kassadin. You can see he's got the Conqueror, sudden impact, last stand for when he gets low to be able to find those amazing outplay situations.
This is a little greedy, though, from Jojo, as we get a little bit of trading on the bottom side. Because I would have expected him to go for the Inspiration Tree and try and get the biscuits and that, especially against the Victor, who is notorious for being very strong in lane and being able to trade effectively. For you to try and survive in this early stage, it can be a little bit of a pickle, but for Jojo, feeling happy enough to try and take those runes that will empower him later in the sudden impact and that Ultimate Hunter to really be a mega threat when he gets to that stage.
Kassadin, level 16 with Ultimate Hunter on top of the items he already likes to build is just going to be it's Earth mode Kassadin, right?
Yeah.
Like this could be a problem if Fnatic allows it to go late, but immediate flash stun into the wall coming out from Mickey. Alvaro down to 50 HP, he's gonna die. It's first blood to Fnatic at 1 minute and 45 seconds into the game. Mickey X is bloodthirsty.
Alvaro not respecting what Mickey can do on this Poppy. It is a pick he made his name on at MSI last year, and now bringing it out in what is potentially Fnatic's last game of the year and picking up first blood.
You love to see it. When your back is against the wall, you've got to be willing to put all the cards on the table. You've got to be willing to pull out the pocket picks. Mickey there with the Hex Flash out of the brush, just seeing if maybe he could have got another slam there onto Supa. Supa stays safe enough. Poby having the push in mid lane. This is exactly what you would expect. As you already said, Kassadin's job is not to win lane. It's not even to break even. It is to lose as gracefully as possible in the early stages. Then once you get to level 6, you become a real champion and you can start at least trading back a little bit.
Yeah, it does give Fnatic a lot of windows of opportunity to be aggressive in the early stage, and that's why I like Razork's pathing here. He's going to sneak into the backline. Supa already low. And Razork's here.
Supa at 200 HP. He has Hot Cocoa behind him, but it's not very well charged. Supa down to 100, flashes away, but Razork with a flash follow. Razork gets the second kill of the game for Fnatic. Dagda, it is not even 3 minutes on the clock, and Fnatic are 1,000 gold ahead.
And when Fnatic have looked at their best, it's when they can set up upset for success. It's exactly what we're seeing here, being able to put that resource into the bottom lane, and now you've got 2 kills already to the Fnatic side.
And I mentioned in draft how this Sivir was the most played for Supa throughout the summer in the LEC. Well, Kais is also the most played for Upset throughout the summer. This is a champion he's got a lot of reps on. This is a champion that hopefully, with this early extra gold, with this extra early power, he's going to feel empowered on.
And this is what I was saying. I love this pathing from Razork, avoiding all the vision that could potentially be set up, making his way in towards this bottom side. And Supa knows he has to push out this wave, or he's going to be in a terrible spot. Fnatic use that to punish, and the follow on the flash from Razork was perfect there.
Nicely done, and now a death for both
Mickey.
bottom laners on the Imkoi side. Mickey just passing through mid here, as is Alvaro. Alvaro clearing out a little bit of vision as Jojo just continues trying to farm as many minions as he can. Of course, every time Alvaro gets to stop by mid, he can place down some more of those hot cocos for Jojo, essentially just giving him an extra weak health potion to be able to have some extra sustain in lane, which he is going to need a lot of.
Yeah, you've heard of Mojo Jojo, now it's Coco Jojo.
Yeah, Coco Jojo is what he's going to need a lot of here to get to level 6, have a little bit more presence in the lane. Supa gets tackled out of the way there. Void Seeker doesn't hit him. Mickey's going to take a little bit of damage here. Only one side of the Boomerang Blade connects, however, so Mickey not feeling too bad.
Yeah, again, I think you're perfectly happy for Fnatic with the way this early game has gone. And again, you kind of get to continue this for a little bit. Elyoya wants to be level 6 before he really starts to interact with the lanes. Doesn't have great setup anywhere if he tries to interact, and Alvaro actually.
Yeah, Alvaro is going to find a level 4
He's no
Razork
flash.
waiting on him. This Bard is level 2. It is very difficult to deal with a Jarvan as level 2 Bard. And under the turret goes Razork, back to the fountain, goes Alvaro. Fnatic claim the feat of warfare, not even 5 minutes into the game. They are 2,000 gold ahead of Imkoi.
And looking very impressive doing it. This is when, again, Fnatic have looked at their best and most confident, and Mickey is zoning Supa off entirely by himself and denying him from being able to re-access this lane. Dragon going to be secured. Fnatic off to a great start.
Yeah, there's no way that anybody on Imkoi is even approaching this first Drake. The 2,000 gold lead for Fnatic, the total control over the bottom lane, Upset level 5, just going to rotate over and help Razork take this thing down. You can see there when Plasma procs, it procs for about 500 damage. It does quite a lot to the neutral objectives. And so then that leaves Razork the opportunity to just finish off the smite, take the Drake. That was not even a full minute after the Drake spawn. That's the Mountain Drake, that's the tanky one, and it already belongs to Fnatic.
Yeah, and again, they kind of just get to keep up with this pressure, move in towards bottom side. I think they might be trying to, oh no, he's going to be spotted, but using Razork to just hold this wave on the bottom side for Upset. Again, it's kind of everything on Fnatic playing around this AD carry. Now, obviously, again, as the game goes on, you do have a lot of threats for this Kai'Sa in the Wukong and this Kassadin, but it doesn't really look like Fnatic are letting them get to that position as Mirwin.
Yeah, I mean, Mirwin's getting aggressive here on Oscar, but when you look down at the scoreboard, Oscar's an entire kill's worth of gold ahead of Mirwin just based off of farming, because there haven't been any plays on the top side of the map, because everything has been about this bottom lane where Mickey got so aggressive with the flash at level 1, because Razork is then down there in the bottom lane, and Elyoya, like you said earlier, is just trying to power farm. The top laners are left to their own devices, and Oscar Renan is handling the matchup plenty well.
Yeah, he's going to be very happy with the way things are going. The fact that now as well, you can end up using this push to try and reset for the Void Grubs on the top side can work out well as well. You can already see Supa trying to move up into that top side and prevent that push. But if I'm Fnatic, I think just rotating upside and Mickey to continuous matching into this Sivir is going to be perfect.
Okay, let's see how close Elyoya is to making a play. He is level 6. We do have the Cyclone available on the Wukong, but they're going to need to find a good angle if they want to go for anything. When you're this far down in gold, every play just becomes a little bit scary to make. Oscar Renan rushing the plated steel caps up there in the top side for the extra mobility to sidestep away from those third and Tofo strikes alongside the armor to deal with Kassadin in general. Of course, Mirwin wants to go with the early Negatron cloak, as pretty much any tank wants to do into the Rumble matchup. And in the jungle, Razork 1-0-1 here on this Jarvan is building towards that bruiser itemization, towards what should be Sundered Sky, of course. And then back in mid lane, Poby, level 6 on the Victor. Only 6 stacks, so not stacking a whole lot here just yet, but still 500 gold lead from the farm advantage plus the kill. He's feeling great.
I do like these rotations from Fnatic though, moving upset to mid this time around and keeping Poby on the bottom side. Poby probably has the least amount of damage that can be brought to the table at this point in the game, so using this Rumble instead as this touch point with the Jarvan can be crucial to the success. What it looks like it's going to be a boy group fight.
Okay, you've got Cataclysm plus Equalizer. Equalizer, of course, still on cooldown for about half of that duration right now. Exactly, the spicy hot pot combo. Very deadly for the enemy team as Jojo now makes his way up towards the top lane. Imkoi trying to approach towards this grub area here. Razork gonna go ahead, use his combo plus his smite to take the first grub. Elyoya wants to step in. Imkoi's goal here seems to grab at least one grub here. They do so with Elyoya's smite, but now they're trying to get back away. Alvaro wants to flash in the magical journey. The Cataclysm wall was on top of the normal wall, so he could still get away with it. Fnatic now trying to get back as Elyoya goes in for the Cyclone, but he only finds the knock-up onto Oscar. Now Razork's going to be the next target, and Supa's on the board. Imkoi, they steal away one of the grubs. The third grub is still alive, and they get the kill afterwards, despite their disadvantages in the game so far. Imkoi find a decent play there, but now Elyoya's in some danger. Tries to jump back in on Oscar, but Elyoya sticking around a little bit greedy with that positioning, and Fnatic get a punish.
Yeah, Fnatic weren't accounting for their own, but here comes the Equalizer.
The Equalizer finally off cooldown for some immediate pain on Supa and Alvaro. Of course, they cannot get any kills on that one. Another magical journey to keep Alvaro safe as Mirman goes all out on Poby. Does need to find some more damage here on the Cassante. Poby trying to kite this one out, but Cassante is very dangerous in these types of situations. His cooldowns are so low. He tries to dash forward with the footwork, but the stun from Poby is clutch, and he gets away.
Holy moly, Poby, that was crazy. Able to sidestep so much of that damage from Mirwin and just outlast him until he could get this done. Really well played by the Fnatic mid laner.
Very nice stuff from Poby. I thought for sure he was dead there. You see Cassante on top of an immobile control mage that does not have reliable CC in the middle of the lane. You're thinking, all right, man, see you once the screen's back in full color, right? But Poby lands that gravity field exactly where he needs to land it, just at the very edge. Mirwin can't escape in time, so nicely done. And it's still about a 2,000 gold lead for Fnatic. Feats of Warfare secured, 2 out of 3 progress on the neutral objectives, and the next Drake is spawning in 30 seconds.
I think for Fnatic, as long as you can try and keep up this pressure, kind of do what Imkoi did to you in the last game, you should be in a decent spot. Reset's starting to come through. I don't think Upset will have finished his Kraken Slayer just yet, but either way, the lack of ultimate from Oscar Rinnan again was used to good effect, so I'm not blaming him for it, but it is going to mean that it's putting a bit of a slow on Fnatic and how they want to try and operate on the map. I think they will have to wait for that ultimate to come back up before they really do anything.
All right, Jojo, let's take a look in on this Kassadin. About to hit level 9, still down a couple of waves in comparison to Poby's Victor. Still not Rod of Ages completed yet, so wants to get that online ASAP. Of course, when you do kind of fall into this game state where you're having to play so safe because the enemy jungler's ahead, the enemy mid laner feels empowered to play aggressively, it is going to be a slower completion on that item. So time is of course, always in your favor when you are a Kassadin, but that clock ticking forward is going to feel painful in this game for a while because of how badly the early game has started. The Drake is alive, and already Mickey is in the pit, Razork's coming over, and Elyoya on the other side of the map looking to make a play lets you know that Imkoi they're not going to try to contest this. Okay, Elyoya going forward, but no, the Cyclone misses. There's just no play to be found from Imkoi, so this is nothing but a win for Fnatic.
Yeah, Oscar Rinnan had to flash to get away from that Cyclone there on the top side, but that is something where Oscar Rinnan in the past has got caught out on those plays. So having that flash keeps him safe, means that Fnatic can get the Dragon. And at the moment, there's no real response, but there are several members of Imkoi here.
Okay, let's see if Imkoi can get something else done. They are bringing up Alvaro to maybe Tempered Fate the turret, but nice using the Equalizer from Oscar to burn down the wave.
Good roam from Upset as well, knowing that if they could get some damage down, have that killer instinct to try and follow through. So keeping Imkoi out of that top side, and Oscar Rinnan stays safe.
Okay, Oscar doing a good job absorbing the pressure from Imkoi's only possible move if they weren't going to try to contest the Drake.
And the problem for Imkoi is they are feeling that pinch of, hang on, Mirwin, he should be fine. But the double dragons being taken. You want that time to buy for your Sivir, your Kassadin, even Mirwin to come online and become mega tanky. But because now 2 of those dragons have been taken, you're going to be forced to fight at this next dragon. You do not want to give it Cross Inferno.
You can see here as Fnatic just disengages yet again from an Imkoi play. There's just nothing coming up for MKOI here. They're trying to pop on the hunt. They're trying to make stuff happen. The poor little scuttle crab got knocked into the forest. He's an aquatic creature. He doesn't know what to do there.
I mean, look, he's been a great tourist. Look at him. He's having a fun old time waddling along.
He's seeing the sights, sounds, and smells of Summoner's Rift in places and ways that he never has before. And now he got beat over the head by Wukong, and he's dead.
Well, that's what happens when you go to the jungle sometimes, you know?
At least he had a good trip on his way out, even if he ended up in a dangerous part of the Rift. But it's a 2,500 gold lead for Fnatic. And we had the stats up on your screen just a little bit before that potential fight broke out. Last game was great for Supa on the Zeri, but this game, since things started out so rough, so shaky in the bottom lane, it's been kind of hard to feel like you've got good ground to stand on.
But again, that has been the Fnatic game plan for not only their series against MKOI, but a lot of the split is get upset ahead, let him be that main carry. And again, that focus has paid dividends for them now, as Supa and Alvaro always love to play aggressive on that bottom side, but sometimes it can come back to bite them.
So looking at EXP right now, we are approaching a pretty critical break point. Jojo about to hit level 11. Alvaro has the stun into the follow-up Cosmic Binding. Now Poby dropping the Arcane Storm, trying to get away. And again, they try to put the pressure on Poby, but they don't have enough gas in the tank. Poby gets away and doesn't even have to flash to do it.
Just barely able to get that gravity well down, which gave him the chance to step away. It's a little bit worse for wear on that top side. We're going to be happy enough that he escaped with his life.
Hey, he's got buddies coming up to help him. Mickey X wandering through here. You can see by the extra terrain, it will be a topside Otacon again this game, same way that it was in the previous one. Jojo still about 3/4 of the way to level 11. Pretty big power spike there for Kassadin. Obviously, every level in the ult giving you significantly better cooldown on that ability. And if they can get to the point where he's level 16, that's where you have the chance to make up for the fact that the early game has gone so bad. But that is still a long way away, my friend. And we are seeing first items coming online in a few different spaces, a few different places. 14 minutes and 40 seconds on the clock as Jojo completes his Rod of Ages. That's a pretty slow completion on the Rod, so that one's still going to take almost 25 minutes into the game, almost on Baron spawn before it's 10 stacks.
I mean, sometimes it's not the end of the world when you're playing a casting, because you do get the level later, which means that you're able to get a higher level, which is technically more XP when it pops.
Right, more value.
Exactly, but not ideal in the, you want Kassadin with money, and the lack of money on the Kassadin is definitely going to play an issue, and especially if this Rift Tower fight goes the way of Fnatic as well, as you can see them starting to set up for the objective again. MKOI though, playing off this Sivir push, getting access towards River, and there's no real play onto Jojo in that top side.
So the thing that I'm noticing, Mirwin is walking up. Neither one of the top laners have their teleport available to join in this fight if they want to stay down in the bottom lane and split push. But MKOI is saying, all right, Mirwin, you're going to have to give up that side lane farm, that side lane EXP, and make your way up here manually instead, because we want to fight for the Herald, and that's what they're going to do. Herald started up by MKOI now, as Oscar's just going to take the opportunity to push the wave down here in the bottom lane. Oscar looked like he was thinking about maybe moving up towards the Herald. Instead, realizes he won't be able to reach the objective in time, so just goes back down to split push instead. Herald is secured by the side of MKOI. Mickey was charging the Keeper's Verdict there, thinking about maybe if there's an opportunity to try to allow Razork to go in and steal, but they think better of it. So it's Herald over to MKOI.
Yeah, Herald goes the way of MKOI. Can they get value out of it though is going to be the real question, because you can see in that bottom side with the lack of TP available for MKOI, you should end up, I believe, with this wave. Oh, actually, I was going to say, I think you should have been able to take it, but Jojo able to get down there quick enough on the Kassadin to keep that tower standing for the moment.
Yeah, feeling good about that. They need to get some value, like you say, out of the Herald use itself. Some freestanding turret gold could be very, very good to try to close some of this gold gap.
Especially with 3 seconds now until that third dragon for Fnatic. I think that's where maybe you can use it as an aggressive Herald in the fight, try and find some success there, or pull Fnatic to that mid lane, which it looks like that's what Elyoya's going to do in response to trying to set up for Dragon.
Okay, Herald summoned as the Dragon spawns. The Herald, they're trying to get the charge on it. Looks like that's all you're going to get, but now the fight is already broken out. Poby taking a little bit of damage here as Tempered Fate catches out the Fnatic mid laner, but a nice Keeper's Verdict to knock Jojo away from the fight means there's not enough follow-up damage. Equalizer down on a Supa, follow-up there from Razork. Killer Instinct jumps in, and Supa's already down. Oscar Renan's cooking Mirwin. Alvaro's already dead to the Acacian Rain, and when it rains, it pours. Fnatic are bringing it down on MKOI. A double kill, back to upset, and it's an absolute absolute slaughter for Fnatic.
Fnatic aren't done yet at Worlds 2025. Finding this fight, it looked a little dicey. I'm going to be honest, Poby not in the best of positions there, but doesn't even burn the flash. Just as happy, tanks the Bard ult. With that ultimate from Mickey, knows there's no real threat coming through from the Kassadin. And instead, Fnatic turned the tides, killing off Supa, and Oscar Rinnan's able to deal with Mirwin alongside Mickey on that top side to keep this fight rolling in Fnatic's favor.
They are going to roll over the fight. They can then immediately translate that into taking the Dragon. They take the tier 1 turret mid. They take the tier 1 turret bot. They have the wave shoved into the tier 1 turret top. Dagda, they just doubled their gold lead and moved a soul point off of that fight.
Yeah, this makes it incredibly difficult now for MKOI because you are nowhere near the position that you need to be either on Supa or Jojo to try and carry these fights. And now Fnatic going to be looking down the barrel of that Infernal Soul plus position now to take this top lane tower. So much gold has been injected into them.
This game state, this gold lead, is almost unplayable now for MKOI when you're looking at 18.5 minutes into a game of League of Legends, being down 5,500, being not allowed to surrender another dragon for the rest of the game. The timer on the dragon, 4 minutes. 4 stacks on Kassadin's Rod of Ages. The Rod of Ages will not be stacked by the time the soul spawns, and you do not get any, okay, well, we'll just give this one and fight the next one. Infernal Soul given over is not an option. Supa still only at 1 fully completed item there on the Sivir. Not feeling great about that one either. This champion needs time to be able to scale up. You've got the 1 fully completed item on Mirwin. Of course, you're going to have time to complete that by the time the next dragon fight breaks out, one would think. But it's just been disaster from minute 1, and I mean that literally minute 1. Remember that first blood this game came in for Fnatic from Mickey's level 1 flash at about 1 minute and 48 seconds.
Yeah, and again, it's what we were talking about. Sometimes Alvaro not giving the respect on this Bard to the position that he has, how squishy he can be, because he does look fantastic on some of these engaged supports, but the Bard hasn't always been that top tier that we expect from Alvaro, who's made a name for himself, honestly, as the best support that we have in the LEC right now. But not able to perform this time around, getting caught out, giving that opening then from Razork to follow up on that second gank. It has been Fnatic steamrolling through this bottom lane.
All right, MKOI, let's see what you guys got to defend, because Poby has used his teleport to join up here in the top side with the rest of Fnatic. He'll be the one that could be the bait in the top lane. Otacon alive now as we crest the 20-minute mark into the game, and it looks like Fnatic are ready to just start it up. MKOI hanging out nearby. Jojo and Upset, the only two from either side that aren't here just yet. Upset going to join up with the rest of the team now as Jojo is still making his way over. The Otacon is dying pretty quickly. Scryer Trinket going to find Fnatic there, but the Otacon's already going to be secured. Keeper's Verdict knocks the enemy jungler out of the fight, and MKOI took too long standing around watching the Otacon get taken. Mirwin's already down. Razor traps everybody in the Cataclysm.
Oh, Alvaro.
Tempered Fate to try to slow up the follow-up, but it ain't going to matter. I would have to think. Elyoya is spinning, but MKOI ain't winning. Fnatic, they're going to find a kill on the enemy jungler next. They got the Otacon. They got a 2-for-1 trade after. They're chasing after MKOI. I don't think they're going to find anybody else, but they already got what they came for.
I thought that Tempered Fate might have been enough to turn the fight, but as you said it, Flowers, the Otacon goes down so quickly. The ultimate there is perfect, and Supa pops his own on the hunt, but doesn't catch Mirwin, so he doesn't get the speed up, ends up falling down. MKOI get one back where they deal with J4, and I thought with Elyoya going in, maybe they have a chance here to turn this around, but Supa has to run for the hills. There's nothing he can do. Jojo doesn't have the damage, and once again, it's the lack of teamfight power initially, right now in this moment, that is coming back to hurt MKOI.
This is dire. Otacon giving them all of those flower petals. And again, I always like to bring this up because it's something that's so easy to gloss over, with Otacon being a new objective, with the stats being kind of invisible in terms of the overall gold lead. 33 flower petals to 12 flower petals is somewhere between 1.5 and 2,000 gold's worth of adaptive force for free. That's on top of a 5,000 gold lead, and it's 60 seconds until the final dragon spawns if Fnatic gets it. That's your Infernal Soul. That's your massive power spike again. Jojo, level 13 on the Kassadin, still has to tick forward 3 more times. And you can see here, 1-8, Kai'Sa at the event, 0-9, Jarvan at Worlds 2025. This is looking like it just might be Jarvan's first win.
Yeah, I mean, look, not quite the 0-10 power spike, but Fnatic going to be happy to try and take that one. And it has been this kind of Kai'Sa plus dive combo that Fnatic have been famous for in the LEC. Now making it work against their LEC counterparts, it looks like, as mKoi stepping in early to this river, hoping to push Fnatic back.
Okay, slam into the wall, comes out, equalizer over the top. Elyoya gonna be targeted here as soon as he gets out of the stasis, probably gonna try to spin. Redemption comes in, looking to heal him, but it's upset into the back line here with the killer instinct. Super trying to get away, Razork on the chase, Elyoya first to die. Razork might get traded, but no! Jojo has no damage, he's dead now as well. The Arcane Storm is half as big as the enemy jungle, and Fnatic get 4 for nothing.
That is exactly what Fnatic needed. They wipe the fight, they will take the soul, and after they've taken the life of mKoi, they might just take this game as well.
8,000 gold. Infernal Soul. 25 flowers. Not sure what mKoi does.
Yeah, if that isn't a MasterCard priceless moment right there, I don't know what it is. With the soul and everything taken, Fnatic just get to continue pushing. This feels so night and day from game number 1. And again, I love this call. Mickey flashes immediately on towards Elyoya, forces Alvaro to use that early ultimate to keep his jungler safe. But again, Upset, this is what he started to change in summer in the LEC. This ability to be aggressive, not care about the KDA, and put his life on the line to make things happen for Fnatic. He barely survives.
And you can see a little bit of frustration there from Elyoya. And I mean, hey, it's a frustrating game. It has been from the very beginning. Fnatic has run the show on this one, and now they've got everything they need. And it feels like every single time we're counting a new big thing that Fnatic has achieved for themselves. Whether it's a big team fight win and a gold spike, or maybe it's moving to Soul Point, maybe it's taking the Otacon, whatever. The next thing's only a couple minutes away, and now Baron is just 45 seconds away with Fnatic commanding a 10K lead and an Infernal Soul.
But where the hell does this leave us if we can get to a game number 3 for Fnatic? Game 1 looked dire. It was mKoi who were playing through this engine of Elyoya and Alvaro, finding the success they need, absolutely taking over the games with the picks. Whereas for Fnatic now, it has been about their team fights in game number 2. And honestly, I think a little bit of greed for mKoi with their draft that Fnatic have been able to punish and now find themselves just moments away from taking down mKoi in game number 2.
Okay, so the one big thing I will point your attention towards, Jojo did have his Rod of Ages finally proc, and it procced, I believe, once he was level 14 to spike him to 15, like you were talking about earlier. He needs 5% more EXP, and he will hit level 16. A level 16 Kassadin might be the only chance for mKoi to try to come back into this game. There it is, Jojo Pune level 16, but the Baron is already down to half HP, and Fnatic still commands a 9,000 lead with an Infernal Soul. mKoi on the approach, Tempered Fate doesn't hit anyone. Baron at 2,000 HP, and it's already gonna get secured by Fnatic. Mirwin trying to escape now. Razork still pushing forward. Hobie's also got a stasis. Keep your eyes on that armband. If mKoi try to turn, it can't be onto him, as now Mirwin wants to drag Razork forward. They're going after the Fnatic jungler. He's already dead, but he cost the Cataclysm before he died, and that means mKoi's going with them. Upset is dominating. Supa's out of the picture. Fnatic end up getting a 2 for 1. They've got the Baron, they've got the Soul, they've got the lead, they've got their eyes on the Nexus, and that first inhibitor turret is not gonna stop them. Mid lane inhibitor about to die next, as Mirwin, Elyoya, and Jojo will try to defend. Jojo using the ultis, trying to get the stacks up, throws forward a little bit of damage, has to again ult backwards, trying to escape the gravity field. Mirwin burns down, and Upset is godlike. First Nexus turret down to half HP. Elyoya just trying to juke him, maybe make him think he's going in. Alvaro's back alive, but it's a level 10 Bard. He can't do a whole lot about this. Tempered Fate's not even available to cast. The minions continuing to fire into the turrets. Super back alive now too, into the back line. Goes mKoi, Jojo wants Upset, but Upset's having none of it. mKoi, they couldn't scale in time. Fnatic ran the game from minute number 1, and even faster than they lost the first one. They'll win the second one. We're going to game 3.
It's a Fnatic Jarvan skin for a reason. Fnatic able to pick up the win against mKoi and push us to game number 3. A limit
terrain creation on both sides. We've got so much space creation on both sides. I'm really excited to see how well mKoi can try to enable this Vayne, because this is it. This is the season for both of these teams. Your 2025 ends here if you lose as we get onto the Rift. Taking a look at the runes, double summoner spellbook once again.
If I'm MKOI, though, and there is someone that I want to put that responsibility on, it is Supa. This guy has consistently been that top performer for MKOI. He has looked absolutely spectacular, memed a little bit when he first entered the league, but now has really risen to be the carry that you want on your squad. And now with the Vayne, has an opportunity to push MKOI deeper into the tournament, but it is up against Fnatic. And they'll be doing everything they can to try and shut down this bottom lane and make sure this Vayne never gets going.
Okay, I just double-checked to make sure there were absolutely no games in 2025 of Vayne. It's not that I didn't believe you, it's that I had to make sure that every time I said first-time Vayne 2025, I was not lying, because this seems like a hell of a way to say this is what we're putting our faith in. This is how we're keeping our world's dreams alive for MKOI. And remember that in the previous game, it was Mickey and Upset getting first blood before 2 minutes. So this time around, Supa and Alvaro have got to have a better time in the bottom lane.
Yeah, you can see, though, like, it is something that Supa has played in the past. He's 2-4 over the course of his career on Vayne. Played that when he was back in the LVP, but this is his first time playing at Tier 1, or let alone an international for the squad. So Supa hoping that he can be that carry.
First time in Tier 1 being an elimination game at Worlds is a seriously Chad play. It's either seriously Chad or seriously bad, depending on the outcome, and that's what the fans are going to remember. So for Supa's sake, for MKOI's sake, I hope that they can find the way to protect this Vayne and allow Supa the space he needs, because you know that Vayne kills pretty much everybody in 6 hits, right? 2 rotations of Silver Bolts. As long as she's got plenty of damage, it hurts. And this champ can be a serious, serious problem. And there it is, immediately concussive blows stacking up alongside the Silver Bolts, and Mickey takes a pretty rough trade.
I'm keeping my eyes on Razork, though. Is he making his way immediately down towards his bottom side? He is. So they want to try and punish on this bottom side of the map. Alvaro going to look for the ward.
Okay, but immediately Mickey going in, Supa with the early flash, but Alvaro's your target now. Razork continuing to move forward. Alvaro has to flash away. The Braum backing up here. Remember that he has the Winter's Bite, he has the Unbreakable, but since Stand Behind Me wasn't available, that means that he has to commit the flash since he can't jump to safety towards Supa.
Jojo's TP'd very aggressively in towards his mid-wave, though. I think they want to try and look for an invade here and follow up on it. Elyoya, though, second-guessing himself, doesn't think that his bot lane is high enough HP, and a bit worried about Poby on his own reset coming in to help out.
Yeah, both mid laners taking a very early first back plus first teleport. I mean, it's only a tier purchase for Jojo plus potions. It's only a dagger purchase plus potions on the other side for Poby. So generally earlier than they would like to make that first recall, as Elyoya is going to have control over the bottom side river, control over the Scuttle Crab. And it looks like we're going to see a recall here from Supa go back and make his first purchase as well.
I'm curious what Razork wants to do in this sort of situation, though. He's about to finish off his camp, should be able to reset first and come back out onto the map if he wants to. Could try and make a play up towards his top side, but he looks like he's trying to sneak his way into the bottom side of the map instead. And this is great from Jojo, spotting, and hang on a second, we don't see the Trundle on the top side. He could be anywhere.
Okay, you can see on your screen right now that last game. We've got some Game 1 versus Game 2. This is the games that each team respectively won. It was Fnatic getting first blood in both of them, but now we've got the jungler showing up down here on the bottom side. Alvaro trying to get away, but wind becomes lightning coming out from Elyoya. It's first blood over to Supa with the condemn into the wall on Razork. Elyoya might die, but Supa wants to get one back. He tumbles and he finds the shot, but Upset is about to grab a double kill for himself. Both AD carries now with 2 kills. Oh! Mirwin nearly solo kills Oscar as the Ornn into the Jax right after.
The auto attack wasn't quite there for Mirwin, or he would have got that kill. But this game is already becoming bloody flowers. The kills on the bottom side, both junglers showing up in the bottom lane, and that's what I was talking about, is a good read from Razork, moving back down towards his bottom side, potential to make a play, but also prevent Elyoya from showing up in that bot lane once more. Now Fnatic go for Crab and potentially just vision into this topside jungle.
And the fact that both AD carries get the kills, the money is right where both teams would want it. Let's take another look.
But this, remember I was saying, but Razork had a chance because you'd assume Elyoya had gone back in towards jungle. Level 4 versus level 3, you can make the play, but that CC was clutch onto Mickey, prevents any sort of follow-up. Then Supa with the condemn on Razork and the Braum starting to follow up. allows them to get 2 kills for Supa. Upset will answer with a double kill, but if it's kills to a Vayne versus kills to an Ezreal, I know which side I'm picking.
The Vayne kills definitely feel better, I would have to say, but Upset also feeling pretty good about having double buffs on that Ezreal now. Very effective champion to be commanding those on level 4. Supa, level 4 on the Vayne as well, but Upset is much closer to level 5, because remember, he's not the one who died in that scrap in the bottom lane 2v2, or 3v3, I guess I should call it, since both junglers were also there. So now we've got the bottom lane duos here in mid. We have 2 minutes on the Grubs. Dragon has already spawned. It is the Mountain Drake. Those are harder to take than some of the other ones because of the tankiness of the objective. And it looks like Alvaro is going to go ahead and be the first support to step out of lane here. Just get a little vision at the entryway to the jungle. You talked about how Trundle is one of those good picks into Xin Zhao. He feels comfortable moving into Xin Zhao's territory, comfortable dueling against him if he finds him. So they just want to make sure that Razork isn't trying to steal away those resources.
Yeah, and immediately you can see MKoi moving Supa in towards this mid lane. They want to get him out of this long lane while you have the opportunity for Trundle to try and come in onto this bottom side. So instead, making things a bit easier for Supa, and Razork finding Jojo, but
ooh, Jojo now stunned up by the Shattering Strike. Razork and Poby going in for the shuffle. Jojo forced to flash, otherwise surely would have been dead there.
a good flash from Jojo to get over the Azir wall. Still, though, this pressure is coming through, and I like seeing Razork taking these aggressive trades. Knows he's stronger when it comes towards the backup he has and how just much presence Trundle has in these early stages. Will net the Dragon for Fnatic and buy them a little bit of space on this bottom side.
All right, so also the thing that I'm looking at, once we get into these larger fights, you already mentioned the amount of CC. Supa takes a little bit of damage here. Mickey and Upset going to keep looking for a little bit more, but Alvaro doing a good job protecting his AD carry. You already mentioned the amount of CC that the team built around this Vayne is able to provide. But the other thing that I'm looking at, Ornn makes that volcanic rock appear. Jojo makes the entire Weaver's wall. Trundle even makes a pillar. There's a lot of stuff for Vayne's Condemn to knock people into, and Supa's going to have a lot of extra tools through that to play around in these team fights to knock back whoever's trying to dive onto him.
And that's the thing, I think if I'm Supa, that's the key to this, is not using that Condemn proactively in a lot of these situations. You have enough people that can use that terrain like as well. Like Ornn is fantastic, the Talia can work well with this. You don't need to be the one using your Condemn. Use it for whoever manages to slip their way through all the cracks. Keep them pushed back. And as long as you're not getting locked up by Oscar and CC or Mickey CC, you can carry these engages.
Elyoya happy to start up the Void Grubs here. Going to be jumping on those shortly after they spawn. Mickey is around the area, going to step forward and at least see what he's up to. Elyoya has secured the first grub, so even if Fnatic wants to overload this area, there's no way for them to grab all three. Mickey just going to kill the little grub mites there as Elyoya heads back towards the area. Double buffs on this Xin Zhao does make him very strong, and we'll see Upset shoving in the wave, and now he and Elyoya can rotate over with Mickey to get priority over the topside river.
Yeah, Fnatic going to be able to push this back. So because we're seeing the Blade of the Rune King build coming out from Supa, this is where you are going to be much stronger in a fight, but you're bad at contesting on the wave, which is where you're going to have Upset continue to be able to shove these waves in and Supa approaching later.
Okay, now bottom side, Jojo gets shuffled back by Poby. No flash available on the Talia. Remember, that already had to be used last time. Poby gets some good damage onto the Imkoi mid laner, but Jojo continues looking to make his exit. Poby with a flash forward. Feet of Warfare claimed by Fnatic. Poby with the solo kill down in the bottom lane as Oscar Renan survives with 200 HP up here on the top side. Imkoi's not going to get anything back here just yet. Oscar Renan down very low, and he's executed by the ultimate of Elyoya. The counter-strike he was hoping would be able to keep him alive there, but Xin Zhao ulti with just enough burst damage to take him down. With the enemy top laner dead, that actually opens up the window for Elyoya to secure the remaining two grubs.
Yeah, I'm surprised that honestly Mickey didn't block it or Oscar Renan didn't use his flash. No communication on what was happening to Supa.
Yeah, Supa down to about 400 HP here. Mickey also low. Alvaro, again, just doing what the Braum was drafted to do and protecting this Vayne.
Yeah, the thing is, though, on that play, because Fnatic had just got the solo kill for Poby on the bottom side, he had shoved in the wave, would have been able to reset and TP to the fight if you needed him to do so. And that could have been the Fnatic win con just for those Void Grubs. But instead, because Oscar Renan ends up going down and there's that miscommunication, it gives Imkoi that little bit of a chance now to get the Void Grubs, which is so crucial for this short-range composition. We see here, though, the play, Jojo tries to go forward, but Poby immediately cuts him off, knowing that Jojo doesn't have that flash. and tries to sidestep here the boulder, so then he could actually be in a position to chase down Jojo, but still burns the flash and has managed to pick him off.
Exactly. This is the dividends being paid on the earlier flash from Jojo. And here's the play and how Oscar got caught.
Yeah, tried to go all in on Mirwin, not respecting where Oyoya was on the map. And again, the CC chain very, very strong. Managed to escape, but here, I thought Mickey would just block the shot. You have the flash, you have his crash down as well to get the space that you need. But neither the flash from Boscarinin to dodge the Wind Becomes Lightning or the Q from the Braum means he ends up falling.
Yeah, that's just an extra kill over to Imkoi. 500 gold lead for them, but again, that's so close. Everything is still contestable for Fnatic. This next Drake not spawning for another minute and a half. It's one neutral objective to either side, as we did have the first Drake go the way of Fnatic. We did have all of the grubs go the way of Imkoi. Poby now, nice footwork there, making sure that he does not get caught out by the seismic shove into the unraveled earth. 60 seconds left on our Drake timer. Upset doing a good job trading into Supa, as we still see neither one of those 80 carries having their first item fully completed. And critically, with this dragon fight becoming imminent, the Sundered Sky completed for Elyoya. This is one of the strongest single item power spikes in the game. He has his item fully completed. Razork does not. All of these Trinity Force builders are at pieces of their Trinity, and now Mirwin's got to try to get away, as Oscar and Razork want to make the move on the Imkoi top laner, but they don't have the damage.
Razork also just not quite in range to get that pillar down to stop the charge away from Mirwin. So it means that Razork not able to get in position. I don't think they wanted to overcommit to this play anyway, because as you say, Dragon in just a couple of seconds time, hoping they could burn a flash or an ultimate for Mirwin before that objective starts. And Oyoya looking to do the same, but Oscarinin, Spidey senses were tingling.
Exactly. He knew. He's like, all right, if my guy was doing it, his guy is probably at least thinking about doing it. We do have teleports available for both of those top laners to join up with this dragon fight if they want to do it. We have items completed in both mid lane inventories now, with the Archangel Staff critically not fully stacked into the Seraph's Embrace for Jojo Pyun, and then the Nashor's Tooth done there for Poby. Trinity Force and Blade of the Ruined King in the inventories of Upset and Supa respectively here as well. So everybody's kind of hitting the same power spike at the same time, which means nobody's got a decisive advantage in this dragon fight aside from the jungle roll, unless Razork goes and completes it right now.
Should have it now, yeah,
there
but it's the back timers that are advantage for Imkoi, and that's the part that's making the difference. They've already set up in River, and now being able to push back Fnatic, who are trying desperately to use this bot lane to gain access, but they might have just found Mickey.
Good sidestep though. Not getting tagged by the Winter's Bite means he doesn't have to use the crash down defensively over the wall to make sure that he stays safe. Shattering Strike does not hit. Alvaro now could be in a little bit of danger for the Glacial Fissure. Right back onto Mickey. He's the target. Elyoya goes in and Jojo Pyun secures the kill. Now Razork flashes over the wall trying to stay alive. Upset stunned back by the Condemn. Supa's on the chase. Elyoya wants to hit him with the Wind Becomes Lightning, and Supa flashes forward. Upset's out of there, and Supa just goes in on him.
Supa forcing the duel versus Upset, and almost catches him off guard. I think Upset was expecting Supa to chase down. Oh wait, Razork caught as well?
Yeah, Razork steps a little bit too far forward. He seismic shoved back into the unraveled earth, just disrespecting Imkoi's control over the area. And Razork is punished. Enemy jungler dead. Here's your blank check for Dragon money. Nothing to it there for Imkoi. As Mickey's back, he's looking around. He's trying to find some vision to clear out, but Elyoya should be able to take this Drake no problem.
Yeah, well, Poby has stuck around on this bottom side. Mickey just trying to be a bit of a nuisance, but Elyoya chasing him down. The Dragon does a reset here?
No, Patience isn't
quite,
ticking down quite yet. He's at the very edge of his Patience, Dagda, as Mickey continues to take a little bit more damage. Supa finally arrives. Dragon's finally going to lose some Patience there, but ultimately secured by Elyoya. Mickey did a good job of being a distraction, but could not distract enough. Ultimately, as the TP is going to bring Jojo up into the top lane. This was a little bit sketchy. Does manage to use that seismic shove to knock Oscar into the furthest forward rock of the unraveled earth, stun him up and stay alive. But Jojo losing 60% HP there off of a little bit of an aggressive teleport. Not exactly what you want to see.
No, at least Alvaro coming up here to help him out and ensure that he can continue to push in this wave. Even having Elyoya to back him up as well means he should be fine. But with Rift Jarl here,
oh, nice pillar coming out from Razork. Immediately pops the Subjugate as well. Supa is the target, and Fnatic needs a little bit more damage to secure the kill. Mickey wants to go for the Magnet Storm, but Mickey dying gives triumph over to Supa. There's no way for the Trundle damage to get the kill, plus Blade of the Ruined King with a lifesteal. Supa stays alive.
Fnatic overplays their hand, and with the enemy jungler ultimate down, with the enemy support dead, Imkoi will say thank you very much, collect a free Herald.
And it's Fnatic members just dying at unopportune times that are causing these issues. We get Oscar before the Void Grub's dying. Now we're getting the kill onto Mickey just as the Rift Herald spawns, and Oscar might fall afterwards.
Oscar trying to get away from this one. Elyoya and JoJo moving together. Nice placement there on the seismic shove. Counter-Strike trying to turn it around a little bit, but there's nothing to turn around in a 2v1 when Talia hits her CC. It's another free kill over to Imkoi. Razork will at least steal the red buff away, but a red buff traded for a kill, now going to be traded for a tier 1 turret. That's not enough.
And I don't know if Oscar allergic to his flash button this game, but kind of needs to start using that a little bit more. As Fnatic now on the bottom side.
Fnatic's on the bottom side. They're trying to secure this first turret. They want to try to win the Feats of Warfare with this. However, the Herald was already used on the top side, and the Feats are going to go over to Imkoi. Now they're still trying to beat the turret down in enough time to take the fight. Poby summons up the Sun Disc, but Alvaro and Mirwin will just walk away. Yes, they lose the turret, but they only needed to hold it long enough to win the Feats, and that's what they did.
Exactly, and for Imkoi, honestly, I really like the scaling that they have on their squad. The fact that they're sitting with a 4k gold lead, 1.5 of that is sitting on this Vayne as well. They're in such a strong position, and because Fnatic are trying to play over towards these side lanes, they're not punishing Supus, continuing collecting money for free underneath this mid tower and just getting so incredibly strong. It feels very tough for Fnatic to find the advantages that they want.
Let's take another look at how this happened in mid lane.
Yeah, I mean, you get the all-in here, but great condemn here from Supa just before the CC went through onto Mickey, prevents that crash down, which would have bought them enough time. But Mickey hoping, look, if I trade 1 for 1 on this play, it's worth it. We can then look towards the Rift Herald. But Supa outplays in the 1v3.
And you saw there, when Mickey hit the auto attack and Supa went into the invisibility, he thought, okay, maybe Magnet Storm's damage will kill him, but it takes him down to 20. And then since Blade of the Ruined King has that % HP lifesteal, it just gives him enough HP to survive. Supa lives, and those are just the heartbreakers. Everybody who's ever played League has had one of those before, but now Imkoi potentially going for an invade. Fnatic maybe with a collapse, but no, it's JoJo riding the wall straight in. It's Oscar dead first. Mickey wants to get away, but the Weaver's wall fades, and Mickey just barely has enough distance to get it out of that one, but it's a 4,500 gold lead for Imkoi. They want to make it 5 and take down this tier 1 turret. They've got the wave, they've got the man advantage. Here comes True Shot Barrage, real nice damage onto 3 with that one, but still the pressure keeps coming in as Razork's got to be careful. Seismic Shove again, he's getting juggled around by the Glacial Fissure. One more hit will kill him, but he stays alive with the Subjugate for now. Mirwin bowls him over the Orn Horn, and Imkoi have 10 kills.
Imkoi played that so well around Poby's range. Poby TP'd in and was dying to get that knockback with the Emperor's Divide, but he's not giving it, and now he's pushing forward.
And we got a TP coming in. Mickey wanted to step forward to make something happen, but now he's going to be in some danger. JoJo takes the kill, but Elyoya is going to be very low. Finally a shutdown, finally a kill, back to Fnatic. Upset's taking the credit, and Oscar gets another shutdown, this time on a JoJo. Supa and Alvaro trying to disengage. Fnatic gets something back, and at least try to staunch the bleeding.
It's something back, and crucially, some of that gold going into the hands of Poby is going to be very nice for them alongside Upset, but still, it's Imkoi kind of dictating how these fights happen. Look how they play here. They know Poby is fishing for this Emperor's Divide, so they're constantly kiting back just out of his range, denying him that opportunity, and Mirwin with the snipe down in the back line. At this stage, though, Imkoi done their job. All they need to do is back away. Sticking around for the tower was a little bit too greedy. They don't have to burn the flash on JoJo. Elyoya does help get a kill back, but with Oscar coming in, it's more on the dinner plate for Fnatic than it is for Imkoi.
And then the flash there from Alvaro at the very edge to escape the counter-strike from Oscar Rinnan. That counter-strike, if it would have hit him, would have gained another kill over to Fnatic. So Fnatic happy to shrink this gold lead here a little bit, come back into the game slightly. It was up to almost 5K, now down to 3.5, but it is still a very large advantage for Imkoi, who will collect their second Drake of the game.
This is a bit of a mistake from Fnatic, though. They're not actually going for the turret trade on the top side. They're sending Poby back, and it means that Imkoi get the dragon, there's no real trade, and they won't be able to protect this bot side turret either. Fnatic failing on the cross map, failing in the fights, and might just fail at making it one step further at Worlds now.
Back to an over 4,000 gold lead for the side of Imkoi. Fnatic are starting to feel the pressure.
We're still in a state in the game, Dagda, especially with Otacon spawning, where I feel like Fnatic still have the ability to make a play that can turn things around. But if this lead grows much larger, they're going to be entering into the territory where they're counting on an Imkoi mistake. The lead will be too big to simply make a good play of their own and get back into the game.
Well, the problem is at this stage, there's so many threats on Imkoi as Mirren finds Mickey.
And Mickey's going to step forward, goes in for the Magnet Storm, but he hasn't found Supa here just yet. Supa going back over the wall as Oscar Minen's going to get stunned up, blown up, shot down. He's out. Fnatic lose their top laner as Imkoi make sure they win this team fight. They're the ones in charge. Mirwen's in the enemy jungle. Just Ornn 1v9 raid boss status. Looks like the enemy team might have the gear score they need to take him out though, so a flash away defensively. Rest of the team on Imkoi going down to the Otacon pit.
Oh, it's phase 2.
Has joined back up. Mickey's got to be careful as he walks away from this one. Razork can't get anywhere near it, and Otacon is slain without casualties by Imkoi.
I was convinced that we were about to have round 2 for Imkoi as they look for that invade. But still, it's Fnatic overextending to try and pick Supa. But what I was going to say right before the fight starts is you have too many threats. Elyoya is massive with 2 items on the Sinzao. Jojo is still strong. And honestly, Mirren is dealing a ton of damage himself. Yeah. Like, even if you kill Supa, the wallets for Imkoi are just too big.
It is seriously a problem. You can see now with Mirren hitting level 14, empowered Blade of the Ruined King for Supa as well, so making that advantage rise even larger. I think in the current iteration of Ornn, the ornaments are worth about 800, 900 gold each, so you can just go ahead and add 1,600, 1,800 extra gold to the already 4.8 thousand gold lead as Mickey tries to escape. And Alvaro and Supa have arrived. That Rel is shot down in the air. Jojo picks up kill 3.
Yeah, at this stage, Mickey just trying to get out onto the map to see if he can do anything to catch Imkoi out. But this game is already slipping very heavily in favor of Imkoi. And it looks like Imkoi will manage to, if they can hold this, keep themselves alive, go to 1 and 2 in Worlds 2025.
Exactly, man. This is where the pressure really starts to mount. Both teams obviously not starting with the type of opening they would want in the first couple of games of Worlds. Being in the O2 bracket is always such a daunting task because you have to then play and win 3 best of 3s to earn your spot in the knockout stage, in those quarterfinals. And winning this one is the first step. Fnatic currently down almost 6,000 gold. They're down 17 flower petals. They're down an extra Drake, and they have to try to find a way back into this game. But all of their attempts so far have not been coordinated enough.
No, they're trying to pick off Supa again. Everything is here, but Imkoi reading it well, knowing that they don't want to give too much across. And Fnatic floundering and find nothing. And we knew it was going to be difficult for Fnatic. Over the course of this year, it has not looked so hot for them against Imkoi. But again, Imkoi just doing a great job of keeping them in check.
Yeah, when we looked back at the head-to-head throughout the year, back in game number 1, I believe it was 4 victories for Imkoi to the 1 of Fnatic. Has been very Imkoi favored throughout 2025. They've had Fnatic's number most of the time, and it looks like here in game number 3, they're set to do it again. Fnatic moving forward, but Razork is immediately met by Alvaro and Supa. The rest of Imkoi not here quite yet, but a nice Horn onto 3. Mickey's gonna die before we can cast a spell. Now Razork's trying to get away, but he's exhausted. Killed by Jojo. The remaining 3 players of Fnatic try to escape, but Imkoi's in hot pursuit. Sundisk at least going to buy enough time to stop the Imkoi assault. But a nice opening there from Imkoi. The Call of the Forge God knocking up 3. The exhaust onto Razork so he couldn't do anything. The unraveled earth right underneath of everybody. There was no way out.
Imkoi are just playing this slow. They understand as long as they stay together, they're going to be in a fantastic spot. And if Fnatic can't find these picks, they're just running more and more gold into the hands of Jojo, into the hands of Supa. And now they respond 20 seconds until that next dragon is up, and Imkoi get to spend their gold.
And what a frustrating situation right there for Oscar. You want to try to defend your turret, but Talia just throws out Unraveled Earth. If you jump on her, you're stunned. If you walk close, you get shoved. There's just nothing he can do, as now the Baron is spawning, and you can see Imkoi moving up to the area just to establish some vision, make sure nobody's going to sneak it from Fnatic. And here's another look at what we were talking about, that head-to-head throughout the year. The 2025 LEC Winter Playoffs lower bracket. That was the one time Fnatic won. 1. Otherwise, it's been the MKOI show.
Yeah, and that was kind of where MKOI were trying to find their footing coming in towards winter, but since then it has been domination from MKOI in so many of these series. It's tough. I mean, the 2025 upper bracket round 1 for summer was where you got to see that push from Fnatic, where they were nearly able to take down MKOI and send themselves into such a strong position. But once more, they find themselves just that little short of being able to take down this MKOI roster. And the Spanish fans are going to be cheering loud tonight if MKOI can put that nail into the coffin.
They're on Soul Point now with a 7,500 gold lead. They want a couple of more kills. They'll at least force the flash out of Razork, but the flash isn't enough. They want blood. Elyoya takes the kill. Supa firing some extra bolts towards Oscar Venom, but the counter-strike keeps him healthy. MKOI having taken out the enemy jungler. Baron on the map right now. You'd have to think that's the direction they're going to head towards. Poby is down to the bottom lane at the same time, trying to provide a little bit of split push threat, but Jojo is already ready to answer that one, has his teleport to join the Baron fight if need be.
Yeah, you can see the observer showing there's some wards here for Fnatic that Poby could look to TP to, try and find that pick, but they're just never going to allow it. Alvaro blocks up, upsets Ultimus, and the fight begins.
All right, teleport from Mickey coming around from the side. Oscar in the middle of everybody, but immediately Poby is dead as the fight begins. Supa's under pressure, but he isn't dead yet. The rest of the team peels beautifully. Fnatic knew they had to try something, but it just wasn't enough. MKOI pick up 3 for 3. They're gonna take the Baron. That Baron just melts in the face of Ginsu's Bork Vein, and now MKOI command over 10,000 gold of a lead.
And they command everywhere that Fnatic can step, everywhere that Fnatic can look. And Fnatic tried so desperately here. It's a good engage from Mickey. Oscar Running jumps in, but this is what we're talking about. The CC and the peel that is offered to Supa in these fights is so difficult unless you have everyone there. And MKOI keep their AD carry safe, and we'll ride that high towards the base.
10.3k gold. 23 flowers, 2 extra drakes, 2.5 minutes on that last drake. So even if Fnatic managed to have a miraculous defense inside their base, they've still got a lot of tasks ahead of them to have any chance coming back into this game. They are now relying on some sort of mistake from MKOI, some kind of a misplay, some kind of an overdive, because it's just so hard to play from this much of a disadvantage. Razork stepping forward, pops the ulti just to try to survive, but the damage from the Vayne is so much. Razork, one more auto attack from Supa would have killed him, and he barely hobbles away, but now that's Trundle without an ulti, trying to team fight whenever they try to defend.
And it's the towers that are going to fall. This Baron is exactly what you need for this short-range composition to take them down.
Now Poby about to get stunned up there by the concussive blows. Supa's unstoppable. Poby's down. Mickey's about to join him. It's 2 kills already over to MKOI, and Oscar's lost his counter-strike. He'll be third to die. MKOI, it might have been a longer series than they would have hoped for. That second game might have been a little rough, but here in game number 3, they're showing they've got what it takes. Nexus turret's under fire. Razork about to die. They'll stun him up and beat him down just to make a statement. MKOI will emerge victorious from the LEC Civil War. They will make their way onto the Nexus. They will add insult to injury, looking to find the last kill here onto Upset. Mickey respawns and charges out. He immediately has to charge right back away into a black and white screen. MKOI stay alive at Worlds and eliminate Fnatic.
The LEC hierarchy remains the same. Fnatic cannot get the upstart that they want, and a clean game 3 from MKOI sees them now at 1 and 2.
This looks now at the overall head-to-head for these two teams throughout 2025 at a 5 out of 6 victory record for MKOI against Fnatic. These two teams have faced time